The NBA might be the most wide open it's been in years right now. There's no dynasty, no unstoppable super team. And with 2 months left in the season, about 6 or 7 teams could realistically win the NBA title. San Antonio suddenly sitting at the top of the power rankings behind Victor Wembanyama, who's dominating both ends of the floor. The defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder are still right there, led by MVP candidate SGA. Detroit has shocked the league with Cade Cunningham playing like a superstar and pushing the Pistons toward the top of the East. Boston keeps winning even without Jayson Tatum, while Jaylen Brown has stepped up as the main guy. New York Knicks, who everyone said couldn't defend, now have the best defense in the NBA over the last 7 weeks. Meanwhile, the Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves are lurking in the West, and Charlotte has quietly won 15 of their last 18 games. So the question here is the NBA wide open this season, or are we just waiting for one superstar to take over the playoffs? I look at this, Frank, and we're inside that final stretch of the NBA regular season. And right now, the biggest takeaway across the league is simple. There is no dominant team in the NBA.
No, there's no dominant team, but the playoff race is getting clearer. The latest power rankings are showing who is rising and who is slipping and who could be dangerous come April. Right now, the hottest team might actually be the San Antonio Spurs, sitting at the top of the power rankings and continuing to prove that they're not just a young team anymore and that they are very legitimate contenders. Of course, Victor Wembanyama helps.
Yeah, who continues to change the game on both ends of the floor and looks like the defensive player of the year lock while pushing toward MVP conversation. We've talked about that the last couple of weeks. It's been SGA versus Jokic, Denver versus Oklahoma City, back and forth. And then last week it was like, oh, well, the Spurs are starting to make a little bit of a run, which means Wembanyama has now entered the conversation for MVP. Right behind them, though, of course, the Oklahoma City Thunder, as we said, who just keep winning even when they're missing pieces, and they're still getting MVP level play out of SGA, and they're built with depth and defense that travels in the playoffs. But the biggest surprise is in the East, Frank.
Yep, absolutely. The Detroit Pistons have been sitting at or near the top of the conference for most of the season, powered by Cade Cunningham, who is quietly putting together an MVP caliber season and proving that the Pistons rebuild might have arrived earlier than expected. Meanwhile, the Boston Celtics are still winning games despite not having Jayson Tatum. He did have his season debut over the weekend. Jaylen Brown has stepped up to be the main star for Boston. They've won 12 of their last 14 games, and they are slowly climbing up the rankings, as well as the New York Knickerbockers. For years, people have said the Knicks could not defend, but now since mid-January, pretty much since the All-Star break, the Knicks have had the best defense in the NBA.
Yeah, they're led by Jalen Brunson, plus defensive pieces like OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson. New York has won 15 of their last 19 games and climbed back into the top 5. But the big question with the Knicks, and really most teams right now, is whether the regular season success will actually translate into the playoffs, because postseason basketball exposes weaknesses very quickly. And in Denver, the Nuggets are one of the most interesting teams in the league right now. Even with Nikola Jokic playing at an MVP level again, Denver has only one win in their last 7 weeks against a team above 500. They're still dangerous. They're still racking up wins. They're still taking care of business against teams that aren't very good, but they're not playing like the juggernaut we have seen before.
Yeah, and they're also, they're just playing the schedule ahead of them, and the schedule ahead of them right now just appears to be very weak. Another team, you mentioned the Denver Nuggets, another team that's lurking right now in the Western Conference is the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've won 7 of their last 8, and Anthony Edwards is one of the hottest scorers in the NBA right now, shooting 40% from 3 while carrying Minnesota offensively. And do not overlook this surprise story in the East. The Charlotte Hornets are actually making a pretty decent push right now.
Yeah, Charlotte has won 15 of their last 18 games, and they're making that push to the playoffs, or towards playoff positioning. It's funny with them and in Detroit, and you had all the fighting and everything that was going on in the contest there. It's really sparked both teams at this point in time, at this point in the season. So maybe it's a little bit like a hockey fight and hitting the sticks on the side, all excited to get the momentum back on your side of things. But is the NBA wide open? Or are we just waiting for real contenders to separate? Because right now you can make the case for 6 or 7 teams to make a run at the NBA finals and make a run at a championship. Spurs, Thunder, in the West, as well as the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. And you got some good teams out there in the East as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't read too much into it. It's one of the pictures. It's the picture for our thumbnail this week. Pistons just lost to the Brooklyn Nets, and those losses at this late stage in the season are going to happen in a very, very close game as well. Wouldn't read too much into that, but I think the perennial favorites are the ones that are going to be lined up the best for playoff success, and it's up to the teams like the Pistons, like the Timberwolves, and possibly even the Charlotte Hornets to prove that they are the ones that are worthy of the accolade at this point.
Spurs, Thunder, Celtics, Pistons, Knicks, Nuggets, Timberwolves, none of them feel really unstoppable. Historically in the NBA, when it feels this wide open, one of two things happen. Either we get an incredible, unpredictable postseason, or one of the elite superstars, whether it be Jokic or Shai or Wembanyama, they take over and remind everyone who really runs the league. And that's going to be something to watch in the final weeks of the NBA season. We'll have your update from this week next week.